It looks like it.
We have the same Chromebook. I don't know if it has to do with our Chromebooks. Because yours is different than ours. It has like this.
It's the round plug, right?
Yep. It's extremely slow on Hangout. Every feature lags very badly. Sorry, we're still waiting on it to start recording.
I'm amazed at what happened to mine, and I didn't know.
Yeah.
Emily, I show the red recording thing up at the top with a white dot beside it.
So
How
it
do
shows
you?
that it's recording on yours.
Yeah, I see the.
On mine, it still acts like it's trying to do it.
I see it
well,
on
I mean,
mine as well.
Yeah, it's a solid red box. I just didn't know what we were waiting
Should I go
for, so I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and go. On mine, it still shows as gray, and it still shows it's trying to load the recording. So, but I'll go ahead and try to present because I'm sure that's going to take a second too because everything on mine is kind of slow. So let me go ahead and present.
You're not even touching it, it's still doing the action.
Why was this not as slow as yours being on?
Michelle, the barcode on the bottom, is it a TR19 or a TR20?
Everything takes
19.
multiple seconds.
I'm looking to see how much memory these computers have on. So
Or the 19s, so it's.
the 19s are older.
Yeah, same here. Mine's so slow. It's a problem. All right, so now I finally just now have a red record. It just now decided to show me that it's recording. Let me go over here. See, and this is what it did to me that one time I was doing my practice lesson and I told Dr. Hollenbeck it wouldn't ever pop up. Now it looks like it's going to try to pop up, but before it wouldn't even let me. It said error won't allow present while recording.
Okay, one thing I need to do is I need to make sure everybody has a brand new machine.
Ours are very slow. All right, can everybody see my slides? I don't want to X it out, but can y'all see? It's a website called Slides Carnival, and it gives you templates and you can edit them to fit your needs. Yeah, I don't use the ones from that are pre-made just because I've overused them, so now I try to change it up. But if you haven't used them before, then you can use them for a while before you. But these are a lot of options. Like they even had like a cool virus one when all this happened. We were doing viruses in biology, so I just used that one. It was really fitting. So they kind of go with holidays and things like that.
What is it called?
Slides Carnival.
Slides.
It has free Google templates, and it's PowerPoint or Google, but you can download them as Google templates. Pretty cool. I use them quite a bit. All right, so I'm hoping everybody can see my screen. So we're going to talk about quizzes, which in general, it's just going to be how I use Google Forms and how you can use Google Forms for multiple different types of assessment or just to collect data from your students. So that is kind of how I use it, and we're going to go through. There's going to be a lot of stuff that I show you that I'm not expecting you to remember, okay? So that's what's great about having a recording is if you can remember, oh, I think she said something about how I can do that, you can go back to this recording later and you can go to that part where I mentioned it and it'll help you. So there's a lot of things I'm going to show you, but I'm not expecting you to remember them all, obviously. I have to remind myself sometimes too. So I thought this was really weird. I was doing all this research and this came across my Instagram out of nowhere. So I thought it was kind of interesting. It just says technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformative or transformational. That's really true. I think we're not trying to replace what we already do well. We just want to enhance what we do well and make us even better in other, parts of our teaching. All right, so some objectives. We're going to create a form through Google Drive, and I'll also show you how you can create it different ways. There's multiple ways you can get to forms, and luckily, because it's all Google based, it all will save to your Drive for you, which makes it really great. And then settings, all the different settings and how you can use them for your most important needs and things like that. And then to create questions, apply point values to those questions, and to get acceptable answers that will automatically grade it for you. How you can add pictures and videos to a form. Reviewing and grading results. How can you review those results and how can you grade them manually as well? And then assigning a quiz on Google Classroom, and then any kind of problems that I've faced and how I have, gone past those problems. And some of those problems I still don't have a great solution to, but that's just kind of how technology is. And hopefully, as technology and as these things are used more often, they'll come up with solutions to help us all out, which they already have. And things I've had problems with in the past, they've already kind of fixed some of those problems. And it's pretty cool how they do that. All right, so first thing is creating a form in Google Drive. So I'm going to go back and forth with this slide. So I'm probably not going to present it every time because my computer's really slow. So you'll probably see it a lot of times on this kind of smaller zoomed out view, but that's because I'm going to be going back and forth a lot. Okay, so when you want to open a form, a new form, you can do it just like he showed when you go to open a new slide. You go to this plus sign with the new up here. You click it. I'm not sure why it's gone so slow. It's usually not this slow unless I'm presenting. That's when it slows down quite a bit. There you go. Once it all pops up, Forms does not come up here right away. You have to go to More. But once you press More, it will be the first one to pop up. And like I said, hopefully yours will move quite a bit faster than mine. And you can click on Google Forms and it'll open up a new tab for you. Okay, and when you get this new tab, this is just a basic form. It has very limited settings on it automatically. So you're going to have to apply a lot of the settings that you want onto it. The purple kind of theme is the standard theme. You can edit that as well. I'm not going to talk about that today, but if you ever want that information, I'm open to showing you how to create cool themes and make it really attractive to the eye and things like that. But for your basic needs, the purple's fine. It's my favorite color, so I definitely like it, but you can make it look really cool. All right, so that is your basic form when you pull it up from Google Drive. Now, if you were to go back to your Google Drive, you should see that if you scroll all the way to the bottom of all of your documents, it will show up as a new document. Now, mine being slow, it might not do that automatically. I'm going to refresh it to see if it'll show up. But if you go to the very bottom, you should see that form, that blank form now down there. That's why it's so important, just like with slides, when you open or create a new form, you want to go ahead and give it a name right away, so that way it's easy for you to find the information. So I'm just going to do this quiz example. All right, and that way I now know what it looks like. It says it's saving it automatically, and you notice that when you update your name of the file, It also will default as that the name of the form, but you can totally change that if you don't want that to be the name of the form. You can adjust that to whatever you want it to be. So once again, everything's taking a long time, but I'll go back and show you how it will show up in my Google Drive underneath there. And then I usually go straight to my Google Drive and give it a folder. So if this is going to be my professional development, I have a folder that is professional development, and I would save this to my professional development folder. So I know it would be automatically. All right. So first thing, let me go back to my PowerPoint so that way I don't forget anything. So first thing, how to create a form. You can also, there's always, quick ways to get to the same thing. You can add it straight from your Google form, like I said, with the plus sign and the new. You can also type in your browser forms.google.com, and it'll go straight to that website. You can do that with anything Google related. So you can do classroom.google.com. It'll go straight to Classroom. You can do docs.google.com. It'll go straight to your docs. So that's a quick way to approach things, as well as using the waffle. That's what I've always called it. It's the little dots in the top corner with all your apps, your Google apps. You can use that as well to get to forms. There's a lot of different ways you can get to forms, but the easiest way is just to go to your Drive and add new Google form. All right, so we named the form. I talked about how you want to put it into a folder. I'll go back to that once it loads, but it's still loading, so I don't want to waste time on that. All right, so now quiz, setting your quiz settings. So this is the emblem you're going to look at on your quiz. So if you go back to that quiz, you'll see that you have the little gear symbol that just lets you know that's your settings. So you're going to want to click on the settings, and it'll pull up 3 sections. So you have your general section, your presentation section, and then your quizzes section. So in general, I always, and it automatically does this for me, it will not automatically do this for you. You can actually go to your preferences, which I'll show you in a second, and make it where it's automatically going to collect emails every time you make a form. I like that because if for some reason I forget to add the question for them to put their name in there, then I automatically have that backup where I know whose it is because it has their email saved to automatically. If you were to not put the name on the form and then you didn't collect emails and they submitted it, you'd have no clue whose form you're looking at, and it'd be completely useless to you, which has happened to me, and it's very unfortunate. But this is a great way to prevent that from happening. Always have it collect emails. So one big thing. Restricted to Trinity users, that automatically happens. That's a safety precaution. And then limit to 1 response. I don't really have to mess with that because most of my forms are locked. And when you lock it, it automatically limits it to 1 response for you. So you don't really have to worry about it. And then edit after submit. If you want them to be able to edit it after they submit it, you can do that. I want to kind of work with that and see if that might be an issue. If you wanted something that they need to save their work, maybe they just submit it for the time being and then go back and keep working on it afterwards. And that can maybe make it a way we could use it for kind of like a review or something like that. I haven't messed with it enough to say for sure that'll work, but I kind of saw that yesterday. I was wondering if that would work for that problem that we have. Anyways, so that's mainly what you have in the general. Biggest thing about the general section is making sure you are taking emails. Okay, and the presentation, this is also one of those that you don't have to mess with it a lot. It's kind of how advanced you want to take it. You can add a progress bar, which lets them know how far along they are in the form. Sometimes kids like that. I don't usually add that because then I feel like they're going to rush to try to get done. But if you think it'll be useful to them, you can go ahead and use the progress bar. Shuffling question order, that is good if you have issues with people looking at each other's screens. You can shuffle the order. Only thing about that you have to be careful is if you add numbers to your questions, it will shuffle with that number. So then you'll have like 4, 8, 3 when you shuffle it. So if you're going to do the shuffle option, don't do the numbered option. Yes.
Also, a little aside, just ask Mrs. Holly if she's helping students in Encore take the test, and she has several of them together. She may have to unshuffle so she can go through the test with all the students at once as opposed to everybody in a different place in the test.
That's a good point. So he was saying that If you have a lot of students having it being taught, spoke to them through Encore, you might not want to use the shuffle feature because that makes it really hard for her to help multiple students at one time. So she might ask you to turn that off for her students in her class. So keep that in mind. I don't usually shuffle the questions. I just have them spread out, and luckily they're gonna be 6 foot apart anyway, so that kind of helps with that issue. Yeah, so that's really the only thing I use. This is already automatically clicked, usually show link to submit another response. Once again, I always have it on lock mode, so that's kind of a null point. It doesn't really do anything, a null point, so you don't have to worry about that. And then quizzes, this is the big tab that has the most information that you're gonna need to use. So automatically it's going to not have it as a quiz. You want to make that a quiz unless if it's not set as a quiz, then you cannot assign point values. So it'd just be like a survey at that point. So if you want it to actually be worth points for each question, it needs to be considered a quiz. Even if you're not using it as a quiz, maybe you're using it as just like a few questions over a reading or something like that. You still want to make it a quiz because that allows you to have point values. Turning on lock mode, that's your choice. What lock mode does is just makes the screen only the form and no other tabs are active until they've pressed submit. So I highly suggest lock mode. The only time you wouldn't want to use lock mode is if it's something that they need to be reading something as they're answering the questions or watching a video as they're answering the questions, then you wouldn't want lock mode on because they would not be able to go to any other tabs. So if you're using it as an assessment, lock mode is great. If you're using it as just kind of like a worksheet type of thing, you don't want to use lock mode because that's going to make it really hard for them to reference materials. So keep that in mind. And you can also apply lock mode on the classroom assignment when you get to the classroom part of it. And I'll show you that as well. So there's more than one place you can use that. All right, releasing grade. This is a big thing. I almost always have this marked as later after manual review. Okay, this is because I don't want my questions and their answers to be open for all students to share and see until everyone has taken that particular assessment or worksheet or whatever it may be. So what I do is I make it after I manually review it. Once I know everyone has taken that assessment, then I'll make it where they can immediately see after submission and they can just go back to that assignment on Classroom, click on the form, and it'll automatically say review your results. They can click on that and then it'll show all their answers. So I personally do not allow them to see their results right after submission unless it's something I really don't care. You know, if it's just like a quick, you know, like pre-assessment or something like that. So that's something I personally always have it on later after a manual review. That'll also help you with having the bazillion questions when they submit something and they spelt it wrong, and you have 30 kids coming out, Ms. Litterman, I spelled it wrong. I knew what it was, but I spelled it wrong. Well, if they can't see what they put, then they're not going to have that question because they don't know they missed it until you go back and are able to review it. And if it's something that you could give them points for, then you can do it then, and you never have to deal with that issue. So that's kind of nice. So that being said, these, I don't really mess with them. I want them to be able to see their missed questions, correct answers, and point value. Once I give it back to them to review, then I want them to see all those things. So I leave them all checked. So once you've made any changes that you have made, you're going to want to press save. So it saves all those changes. And now that it is a quiz, I'm able to put point values. So let me make sure I go back to my slides to see if I missed anything. Once again, I'm sorry for it being slow. Let me go to the meet. Does anyone have any questions so far about anything I've said? I know it's a lot of information, but that's kind of just how it is with forms. There's so many great tools that you're going to have a lot of information. That's why it's recorded, so you can go back to what you need the most. Any questions from the meet at all. I know you can't see, but I can see you. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand or anything like that. All right, Ms. Williams.
Yeah, when you're doing those settings, and because I click on that later after manual review, can you go back and do you go back in to
Mhm.
change the settings when you decide you're ready for them to have that? Because I've had the
Exactly,
option
yeah.
of release them, but can you go back in and change it under settings and save the
Yes,
new
that's exactly
information,
what you
or
want
will I?
to do.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, just go back and press now immediately, and then they can go back to the classroom assignment, click on the form, and it'll automatically say review your results. And then they'll have that option. So you don't have to do anything except for switch it over on the settings to being able to see it immediately. Which I feel like they should kind of make that sound a little bit different, because they're not necessarily reviewing it immediately at that point, but it's acting the same way. Yes, Ms. Hill?
So when you return them, then they can see them, right?
They can see their score on, like, if you return them on, like on Google Classroom. Is that what you're
Yes.
asking?
Yes. Because I thought,
Not necessarily, no. If you return it on Google Classroom, but you still have it set to after review, I believe it still will not show them. It'll just show them what they got when you place as their score on Google Classroom, but it
Well-
won't actually let them see their answers. Is that right?
I thought it did, but I may be wrong, because like I did that last spring.
Yeah, right away.
But if you went back and said it, shouldn't score be in there then?
Well, you put their score on like Google Classroom automatically, and it'll show them what they got right, or it'll show them what their score is, but it won't show them what the questions at all. It'll just say what they they missed two, but they don't know what two they are, or anything like that. Unless you go back and say that they can review their answers immediately, then they can't see. And
I think they can after, how you said later, I think once you return,
Yeah,
they can.
they can.
I thought
Okay.
they could.
I just always change that because they might. I just never use that setting, so maybe they can. I just always do it the other way manually, just
I thought-
because sometimes.
I think they can, because
Yeah.
I had questions, like after I'd returned them, and they said they'd come and say, "Well, why did I miss it?"
Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't know if I had to do
Gotcha.
that. Okay.
Yeah, they might. I guess you just have to make sure you press that return button, which I guess I just do it the other way, because then they don't have to wait for me to grade it and put it in the grade book. Once I've reviewed it and I know that it's good, then they can go back and check it before I put it actually in the grade book. So, but yeah, definitely. I think I guess that's what everybody's saying. If you review it, then it'll work. I just never use that setting.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Did they not have a place where they can go and look at all their work if they needed to pull up their papers and see what they got?
I mean, they would have to go back to the assignment or there is a new tab I saw on Google Classroom that says grades, but I don't know if that's for students and for teachers or just for teachers. I just now saw that it's like a brand new addition. But from what I know, they can go to the actual assignment itself and it'll tell them their score, and then they can click on it to review their work. But there's not like one tab that shows all their work, it has to be at each assignment. You have to go to each assignment.
Might have a job guy see your classes and things too.
They would need to know how to go to the assignment, which I've had parents do that, and I tell the parents in an email, you can review your kid what they miss by them going to the assignment on Google Classroom, and they can pull it up and they can review it with you. So you just have to, that is one of those things we're going to have to teach the parents when we have that parent meeting, that there is ways for them to go back on Google Classroom with their student to see
We're waiting to be back.
Quiz back to them.
It sends the whole quiz back.
So then again, if I.
I'm back. Can everybody hear me? It kicked me off. My connection was lost. Can you hear me, guys? Sorry, my connection got lost.
So we're easy way to read it.
If they're still taking notes, yes. I unmuted. Mm-hmm. It's kind of frozen though. Can everybody see me, hear me? Everyone's kind of frozen.
Yeah, you're not muted to documents.
I have another question, Emily. Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you, yes.
And this may be answered later, but when you've got, like, if you're presenting like this in class, do they see
Mm-hmm.
all the other people that are like virtual? I mean, is it up there
Yes.
on TV? 'Cause
I don't think if you're presenting, they can only see what you're presenting and then like a little box of your face.
Okay.
They can't see everybody else as you're presenting unless you are presenting on the tab that has everybody's face showing, because then they're seeing your screen, which is what you're seeing, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
You'll show that. They'll show that later, won't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to have to present again. If it kicks me out again, I'm sorry. Like I said, this is a constant struggle with my Chromebook, but hopefully I'll be getting a new one, so I don't have to worry about it.
Okay, everybody.
Yes.
So then we talk about returning the quiz, and we automatically put it in the grade book, and it gets returned to the students.
Yes.
So let's say that I do it during first period, a quiz during first period, and I have second period prep, and I want to go ahead and get it in the grade book, then that quiz will be available to my other classes then.
Well, the first period, through the first period. students.
Yeah, the first period students then could share that quiz with other students if they wanted to. That is correct. That's what I thought.
Is that right?
Yeah. That's why I won't put it in the grade book until the end of the day. I'll have it in there, but I won't actually press return until the end of the day, and then I can just return at the end of the day, and then I'll make it live. But if you can put the grades in, as long as you don't press return, then it shouldn't let them see anything because it technically hasn't been reviewed yet. Is that correct? That makes sense?
It won't let them back in until it's been returned.
Exactly, yeah. So as long as you haven't pressed return, then they can't go back to the form. All right, let me go back to my slides to see what we want to talk about next. Gone through the settings. Let's look at, I think we're on creating an actual question and how we do that. Yes, all right. So going back to the example, you will always want to make, like I said, your first question, the name, just to be on the safe side. I got in the habit of not doing this last year, and it was great as long as it took those emails. But the couple times it didn't take those emails, once again, I had no clue of knowing whose form was whose because it had no name on the form, and then it didn't take the email for me to be able to connect it that way. So safe bet's always to make your first question the name. And you're going to want to make this question
Are you going to share your screen again?
is it not doing it?
No, it's not sharing. I'm just seeing you. You look
Press
really
share, but
nice, but I
hold me to
don't
it.
see your screen.
I don't know why it's decided it didn't want to share. I pressed share. it even popped up the little thing that said I was sharing. But once again, it's lagging pretty bad.
I'm just so glad we're not gonna have any of these problems with schools.
Of course not.
Well, I'll tell you what, the barcode numbers on the bottom of the year TR20. So if you have a TR19, that means we acquired those in the 1819 school.
TR7, maybe.
Yeah.
We're getting our money's worth out of it.
Yeah, we are.
You have a 17. And, what I need to do is make sure that you all get a TR20 and 20. Mine's a 20. It's certainly better than that. Here's the 19s. But I'm glad to see this so that we can do something about it.
Yeah, because it looks like it's trying to kick me off again.
I can give you mine right now.
I have to log in to you.
Huh?
I'd have to log in through on yours with my information. Okay. We might do that because it's being really slow. Like it won't even let me press.
Since
it.
doing that, we'll catch up.
All right. I'm still working on trying to present it. It's my present button isn't even live because it said it was presenting. My computer is obviously not cooperating.
Go ahead and sign out of that. Sign you in.
Okay, so
All right. I'm going to switch over to Mr. Hines' computer. So go ahead and keep on the Hangout, and then I'll come back on his computer. Same here. And it used to automatically do the email thing, and then all of a sudden it stopped doing it automatically, and you had to actually click it yourself.
It used to actually say, I think limit one responded to the thing saying that, but I don't know.
It still says it, but it's
Does
like,
it? I
yeah,
always click
capture their email the way one responds.
And you can actually make that a preference where it automatically does that. You don't have to do that every single time. I'm going to talk about that at the very end, like extra stuff. I just figured that out yesterday, actually, the preference thing. All right, is everybody seeing and hearing me now? I'm on his computer, so hopefully it's going to move a lot smoother. Sorry about that. Apparently I need a new computer.
Well, I'm sorry.
I always just thought it was my Wi-Fi, so. All right, now I'm going to go back to sharing, and it should happen a lot more easily, I should say. Now these are taking forever, but. Okay, so we're going back to how to actually make a question. So once again, your first question, you want to make it the name, and you're going to want to go to the types of question option. And a lot of times it'll automatically fix it for you. It'll know that a name wouldn't be a multiple choice question, so it automatically changes it to short answer. But if it doesn't do that for you, then you can just go here to this little drop down menu, and you can select short answer, and then it'll have the short answer question for them. I also have it as a preference to make it required. If this part right here looks like this, non-active, you're going to want to make that a requirement, so that way every student has to answer that question in order for them to be able to submit.
I also asked, what period you got.
Yeah, I've done that in the past too. Yeah. So Siegel said making also a question about what period they're in. You can totally do that if that is something that's really useful to you. You could do that. I used to do that, decided it wasn't something that I needed, so I stopped doing it. But if it's something that you need, go right ahead and do that. That's what's great about this. You can make it fit your needs. So it's pretty awesome. Okay, a big thing about the name is you want to make sure that it says 0 points right here. That's going to be the default is 0 points. You're not going to want to set point values to the name, because since everyone's going to have a different answer for what their name is, it's going to automatically count it wrong because it doesn't know what that is a correct answer for that person. So you just want to make sure it has 0 points. That way it doesn't give them points or take away points. It's just there to take their name. So we'll talk about how to add points when we get to an actual question. But on the name, just make sure you always have it as 0 point value. All right, so now let's say I'm ready to add my first actual question. I'm going to press this little add question button. When you do that, it's going to pop up a open blank, and I like to number my questions. You don't have to number your questions. It's just organization for me. It makes me happy to have my questions numbered. So let's say this is a safety, like a lab safety quiz. I'm going to change it to lab safety. All right. And my first question is, you must wear goggles during the entire lab. Okay, now obviously that's not a question. So I'm meaning this to be a true false question. What's awesome about Google Forms is a lot of times when you go to click on adding an option, it'll give you a suggestion. Okay, this isn't going to on mine because it's not actually my computer, so it doesn't have all my suggestions saved. But on my personal computer, it'll automatically think that this is a true false question, so it'll automatically give me a suggestion to make it true false. But if not, you just type in not that true, type in true, and then you're going to add another option. That's just another answer option, and then false. And now I have my two options that I want. You can add more than four, you can add as many as you want. I mean, there is a limit eventually, but it's quite a bit before they tells you no more options. So right now I just want two. If it says add an option, then that just means you could add one. But right now you see that there's only X's by the first two, which just means those are the only two active options right now. So true and false. All right, I'm going to now want to give it a point value and to correct the correct or incorrect answer, so that way it'll grade it for me automatically. So what I'll do is I'll go to answer key. When you do that, you can add your point value right here. I want it to be worth 2 points, so I'm going to click that up arrow 2 times, and then this is a true, and you see it turns green. And you can even add feedback right here. Let's say you want to support that correct answer or whatever it may be. I usually add it as when you get the feedback if you get the question incorrect, because if they don't have it correct, that means they need more instruction. So you'll add whatever feedback you want. You could even add a video. If they watched a video that supported that answer, you could add that video to the feedback and they could go rewatch that video if they needed to. That's an advanced step, but it's something you can do. So feedback, and then once you've given it points, you say correct or which ones are correct. Then you're gonna press done. And now you'll see it has a check mark next to the correct answer, and also has your point values below. All right, any question on how to do like a basic multiple choice on here? Anyone in class? I think that's pretty basic. Anyone from the meet have a question about just general multiple choice question? All right, that's pretty standard. Okay, now we have some other options on questions. This is where it can get really great to meet your needs, or it can get, kind of difficult if it's something that needs a longer question. So you can add another question, and you're going to select what type of question you want. You can have a short answer, which is just if they're giving you like a name, like it's a vocabulary, you're giving them a definition, they just need to type the word in there. It could be like a short answer or like a fill in the blank. And then if it's going to be something like what I think of as a short answer, actually. So to me, where it says short answer, to me in my head, that's like a fill in the blank question. And then where it says paragraph on here, that would be more of a short answer to me, because that's where they're just going to have like maybe a sentence or 2 sentences to answer the question. So that's where you're going to have a paragraph type of question. Now, if it's something that you're wanting to write, like a small, 5-sentence good paragraph, something like that, then I would not suggest the form. I would suggest the Google Doc, and that's what he's going to talk about next. But if it's something that's just going to take a couple sentences for them to answer, then you can use that paragraph option as a question. It's just you have to grade it manually at that point, because there's going to be a lot of variations in how they type their answer. So, and I'm going to show all this in my personal examples of how I've done some in the past, and I'll show you like what I have to do to grade it. But then you also have the multiple choice, which we already have done, the check boxes. This is great if you have like a list of facts and you want them to click all the correct facts. They could do that, which is awesome. I've done that before. So check boxes is great. The drop down, that's also great if you're wanting to give them a word bank for the vocabulary, or something. If it's, let's say it's like a quiz, they don't need to be proficient just yet. You can drop down all the vocabulary words and they could click the one that they want to use. So they have all the options. Then the linear square, I have not really used that. The multiple choice grid, that is really great for matching questions, which I'll show in an example in the future. But that's really, really great for any type of matching that you want to do. All right, you can also add text boxes. So let's say you want to have a text. So I click on the name and I want to add a text box above my first question that says true and false. I don't need the capital A. Okay, true and false. And that way they know that the next so many questions are going to be true, false. So that's kind of how you can segment your form to be more organized. You can add a image, you can add a video, and I'll actually show you how that looks in just a second. But when you add an image, you can do it straight from your Drive. So you can go to your Google Drive and it'll add an image from there. You can go to upload from your actual computer. So there's all my files in my Google Drive, and I can click on any of those to get to any picture I have saved. You can go to upload, go to browse, and now it'll show me all of my screenshots that I've done. So that's a great way if you have like a screenshot you've taken of something and you want to put it in as a video, you can do it from there as well. Yeah, they're all on that computer. I don't have any on this computer, obviously, because it's not my computer, but you can do that as well. And then videos is great. It actually automatically connects with YouTube. So you can actually search a YouTube video by its name, or you can always copy the URL from the actual YouTube website and then paste the URL in, and it'll automatically post that video as well. So I'm going to go to one of my actual examples.
Is there a fill in the blank option?
It would be a short answer. So what you would do, and I'll show you, I have an example, I think in this right here, actually. But you would just type out the question and put the blank in, and then they would type in what they want to fill that blank. But it's not going to actually fill it in the blank. But I have done that, and the kids have no issue understanding what I'm asking them to do. So they understand what I'm asking usually, so I don't have to worry about it. All right. No, this is not the right one. Oh, yeah. Let me go to. All right, so this is a good example of using a lot of features for one assignment. This is one I actually did during AMI, and it was involving them doing an assessment as well as doing questions over videos I wanted them to watch. So what I did was I actually embedded the videos into this form. Still kind of being slow, but it's working on it. So right there it says that there's 2 videos. Those are going to pop up. They're just going to take a little bit longer to load. They had a video on bacteria and then another video. And then once they watch those 2 videos, they're going to answer these following questions. This shows you what it looks like if you were to have a matching. So they had to match this. They had to match the common cold and say if it was a bacteria or a virus, and then tooth decay, bacteria or a virus. So this is called a multiple choice grid, I believe, multiple choice grid. I use these quite a bit if I want them to like label something, things like that. And then here's an example of just a long answer question. It was going to be a couple sentences, so they need to have more than just a short answer. Then here's what I was telling you, Mr. Jones, about a fill in the blank. So I typed it out and I left the blank there, and they would type in what they want in that blank. Does that make sense? So, and then there's true, false mixed in. That's a multiple choice one. So in this one alone, I used multiple choice. I used it as a standard multiple choice question. I used it as a true, false type of question. I used a grid, a matching type of grid. I used a short answer, which would be like a fill in the blank question. And then I did a paragraph type of question, which is more of like a couple sentences that they need to answer with. So you can go back and forth. See, now my videos have popped up, and you could actually, they will be able to actually click on the video and watch the video from the form itself. Just very nice. And then those, now they got to the questions that are from the actual assessment. So I created a text box that says the assessment, and then they have the actual questions that are the assessment questions, 1 through 5. So it was pretty great. I didn't have any issues really. Kids were able to navigate it pretty well. They can navigate stuff a lot better than we think they can a lot of times. You'll always have the ones who struggle a little bit, but for the most part, the vast majority of them do pretty well with it. So,
Can I ask a quick question?
yeah.
If you were using that as your instruction for the day, because you've got it all there, are you, when you did, because you did yours online with them, didn't you? Did you meet with them and talk about it and then say, open this and read through it or watch it?
What I did was I recorded myself and made a video of me talking them through it. It wasn't actually them on the meet. I just made a video, so it's asynchronous. I made the video. They watched it when they were going to start the quiz or when they were starting the assignment. So they had me actually talking them through it, but yet they couldn't really give feedback right back to me. That's what I did for a lot of things. Now that when we move into next year, it's going to be more having the actual hangout, and they can ask me questions right away as I'm telling everybody in class how they're going to do it. But just for last year, it was easier for me because you knew they'd come at all different times of the day. I would just make a video of me explaining what I wanted from them, post that form, then they would do the assignment.
I mean, I'm looking at that thinking, why don't you just walk them right through it all?
Oh yeah, if I was in class with them, I would post it just like I am now, and I would walk them through it because it doesn't show them any answers. If you go to the preview, you can go to the preview and it'll look just like if they were doing it. And so if you press this little eyeball right here, it'll do a preview and it'll show on your screen exactly how they're going to see it when they click on it, and you can walk them through exactly what you're asking for in each question, and so they know what to expect before they even get started. I do that a lot. I walk them through it, especially if it's something that has a lot of different aspects on that form. I'll walk them through it step by step. Another cool example that I like to do was we did frog dissection virtually, and I did that. Yes.
Sorry, what did you say was the one that you used for matching questions?
It's called I think multiple choice grid. Let me see. It's right underneath where it says linear.
Okay.
It's that next one. The multiple. Yeah. So this is one that I gave them on frog dissections, and they watched. Actually, it was a virtual lab that actually took them step by step through this. This was their like assessment on if they went through that virtual lab. They did this form, and it related straight to what they learned in the virtual lab. So I took. It's loading the video right now. I literally screenshotted the virtual lab. I screenshotted exactly what they saw. Then I created the labels for it, and they had to label it on their form. So here's exactly what it looked like on the virtual lab. I screenshotted it, and then I numbered the different parts. And then they needed to, okay, part number 1, what part of the body of the frog is that? So they'd go here, they'd follow where it pointed to. Okay, what is this? And they'd have to select it. And they did that for all 5 or all 6 of those. And then I did another one. Okay, I could have done that on all one picture, but that would be way too much going on. So I split it into 2 pictures so that way it's less chaotic for them.
What did you use to have the
Google Slides. I just screenshotted it, put it on a Google slide, and then I created text boxes on the Google slide itself.
And then did you export the Google slide to
I screenshotted it again.
screenshot?
Yeah, I screenshot a lot. I use screenshot all the time. So yeah, I just use screenshot for this. And once again, once you do it the first time, it might take you a little bit longer. But after the one time of doing it, you get pretty comfortable with it, and it gets a lot faster after that. So I would say this whole thing might have took me 20 minutes, 25 minutes to do the entire thing. But that's because I'm pretty comfortable with it now. So it won't be that all right away, but you can get there. And so then they had those 2 matching, and then I gave them some multiple choice questions. And you can see that a lot of them have different, some have 5 options, some have 3 options, some have 4 options. So that's what's great about this is you can manipulate how many options you want on a multiple choice. So.
Would that have been counted as a classroom grade for them?
Yeah, it was just a
Not
classwork.
quiz, but
Just a classwork. Yeah, it was, well, actually, this was a lab, so it was underneath my lab. Yeah. So this is a lab particular, but like the one I just showed you, the assessment, that would just be like a classwork. Even though it's called an assessment, that's what they call them in the book, but really it's just a checkpoint type of thing for me. So you'll just use whatever kind of vocabulary you use in your class. My vocabulary is assessment when it's at the end of a section because that's what the book calls it. So that's what I call it. So, but once again, all this, like the picture, the coloring, that's all extra features we won't get into today. But if you ever want me to help you, I'm pretty good at it by now. It was not like that, but I'm now pretty good at it. So if you want any help, I'm happy to do that. All right, so that's kind of just a real quick idea of how you would do the questions. Now responses and how you would grade that with responses. This one was a great form because it actually had no questions of them actually having to type anything in. It was all select multiple choice. So it graded it automatically. Once I gave it the correct answer options, it was all graded automatically with me. Everything was done for me. All I had to do was release the scores and it'll automatically go to classroom, and then from classroom automatically goes to the grade book. And I didn't have to do any manual grading at all. So that was a great one with this. So it automatically graded it all for me. When you first go to the responses, I didn't click on that. So it automatically defaults to questions. You're gonna want to click right here on responses. That's going to allow you to see what they've submitted. The summary is going to give you a quick look at all your students who've taken it and their score and what time and date they submitted it. Then you can go through each question and look at what they got right or wrong. This is going to only look at the general population. You're not going to see who answered what, but just overall, how many people got this question right. I had 94.6% of my students got this question correct. So I know that that was pretty well covered. So things like that. I use this a lot on tests. If I have a test question that only 30% of the kids got correct, probably not. I probably didn't do a very good job of covering that, and I probably am not going to count them against that question against them. If it's something I know for a fact I talked about, and it's just, maybe I worded it wrong and they just didn't understand the wording, I can see that. I can talk to them. Why did y'all not understand this question? They can give me that feedback. I can better my quiz for the next time, and I can, not penalize them for something that was my fault, not their fault. So that's what's great. The individual section, that's what I use to grade if I have to self-assess it. So I need to edit it. So if you go to individual, right here, it'll tell you which one you're looking at. And it'll drop down all of the kids who've taken it to the drop-down menu. And you can look through all of them. And I usually just use this toggle and just go arrow over to the next one, the next one, and then the next one. But
And that release score button is.
yes, so you can do it.
Copies that.
Yeah, you can release a score by each individual one after you've done it. So I've graded Haley's, I'm done with it. I can press release score right here and it'll be on there automatically. Or when you go to the summary, after you finish grading all of them, then you can press release scores right here, and that's gonna release them for every single one. So that's a quick way. If you don't want to click it every single time, you can just click it right here and it's going to release all the scores all at the same time, save you the trouble of having to click it every single time. The only thing that's bad about that is you want to wait till you have all of them graded. So it's kind of up to you if you want to wait till you have all of them graded to release a score, or if you want to release a score as you grade each individual form. It's up to you. But back to the individual, like I said, this is where you can look and see what each individual student missed and things like that. I have had many times where I made the mistake making the form where I accidentally did the correct answer incorrect. So what I said was the correct answer was actually the correct answer. I just accidentally did that. Well, I can go on here. I can see, oh, a lot of kids are missing that question. I can edit it and I can give them a point. So I say, number 9, actually, that was the correct answer. I can go right here and I can give her that point. And once I give her that point, I'm going to want to press save. And that's going to save it. And now instead of having a 27 out of 30, she'll have a 28 out of 30. So you can give points back. And this goes into a lot of information, but we don't have a lot of time for that, but I can help in the future. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about was how to post on Google Classroom. So let's say I want to post something in my 4th period biology. I'm going to go to classwork. I'm going to create. And I want it to be an assignment. You do a quiz assignment, I always just do assignment. And then title, lab safety quiz. And then if you want to give any instructions, you can put it in the instructions. And then what you're going to do to add the actual form itself is you're going to press add right here, go to your Google Drive. I use this recent button a lot because usually whatever I want to post is usually what I just worked on. So I can just go right here, quiz example, add it in there, and now it's there. And this is what I was telling you. You can also turn it on lock mode from Google Classroom as well by clicking that little toggle right there. And then you want to make sure if you want the grading to be able to be imported straight from the form onto Google Classroom, then you're going to make sure that this right here is toggled on. Now, here's the trick with this that became an issue with me multiple times over the AMI. If I have a form, but I also wanted them to watch a video before that, I would sometimes put the video as a link on this assignment as well as the form. If you put any other attachments onto this assignment other than the form, it will not allow you to import grading. That'll no longer be an option. Okay. That has to stand alone as the only attachment if you want to be able to import grading. The way I got around this is like I did here, where I embedded the videos onto the form. So they still had the videos, but now it's in the form, so I only need that one attachment. So that's a trick to get around that. If you want to be able to import that grading, which you do because it saves you a lot of time, then just embed the video or the document that you want them to, read into the form, and they can just use that form as their all-encompassing, go-to. Okay. Now I know that was a lot of information, and it didn't help that I was getting interrupted by technical issues the whole time. But like I said, I am happy to help in any way I can for anyone, and I enjoy sharing what I know, so I don't mind at all helping in any way. So any questions before we wrap up? Yes, Ms. Teagle.
All right, I'm not sure if you know the information or if you said it's something that you're working on. How do those grades now link to our facts?
Once you import it from the form onto Google, then that's how you do everything. And then once the grade's on the Google Classroom, then you have to go to RenWeb and you can import it. You have to press all the little, he sent that video or something about how you do that.
Did you do that very Illinois?
Yeah, but it's all, the importing on the Classroom, that's just to get it from the form onto Google Classroom. And then if you want it from the Google Classroom onto RenWeb, you have to do that on RenWeb. But it's really, once you get the hang of it, it's a couple clicks and you're done. So it's nice. All right, any questions from the Hangout? No, we're good. Like I said, this recording will be obviously posted. I can help with any questions you have. We can get really creative as well. So if you already are comfortable with like the basics of forms and you want more information on how to even make it better, I'm happy to help with that as well. So anything, we're good? Sorry for all the technical issues. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Thank you.